Woo! Look at that sucker. Fitting perfectly into the frame. I suppose it's called. Is that called a frame? I think it is. So, the House of the Dragons video didn't go so well. Even the fish recaps haven't been going so well. So I was like, maybe I need to pivot on this channel. Maybe I need to come a channel about that walnut tree in my backyard. You know, I've slowly introduced you guys to this. Hell, it got its own video a couple of years ago. Had a whole week worth of videos at one time during Walnut Week. But I do often sit here and think about this tree. Like, the obvious question is, how old is it? Was it here before the house? The house was here in like 1949. I have a feeling, you know, it's tough to say, but I think that tree's older than that. I can't imagine somebody would have planted that tree that far away from the house. I'm starting to see some walnuts on it this year. This is not supposed, well, this is actually supposed to be a walnut year. I thought it was every other year, but then turns out that's not the case. It just depends on the conditions. It could dump walnuts back-to-back years. So then let's just assume it was there pre-1950. This tree's been here since 1940, we'll say. Let's just say it's that old. It's over 80 years old. What did the whole area look like? I don't even know if Main Street was over there. And then now it's got a nice look up and down Main Street. Can probably see all the way downtown, actually, from where it's at up there. How many walnuts has it dropped? I mean, it's dropped a couple thousand walnuts just since I've been here. And then I know if I was as a kid, it would have been much smaller, but it's still definitely, this yard would have been a baseball yard for me. I'd have played some baseball back here, some home run derby, and that tree no doubt would have been home plate. I know it's been cut on at least once. You can see in the past where stuff's been removed. It's kind of sad. Lost a couple of limbs. Well, at least it's got more than 4. It's got that on us. I mean, if it could talk, what would it say? And then what did it think when they started building this house? It was like, what is that house? You know, it watched all these other houses be built. And then my house, like, showed up on a truck and they put it together. They were like, well, that's different. But Mr. Walnut Tree, maybe he was happy to live in this yard. Got his happy little corner. Actually, now that I'm looking closer, I'm starting to see a lot of walnuts, man. What is going on? The one year I turned it into a week-long video. I mean, I was out here every day picking them up by the bucket loads, you know. One year I filled up like a 50-gallon trash can. And mistakenly, I filled it up. And you think if one fell, like I'm seeing some up there, not all the way to the very, very top, but there's some 3/4 the way up there. Maybe even 80% of the way. I wonder if one of them fell and hit you directly on the head, could it kill you? Has anyone ever been killed by a falling walnut? Coconuts, I've heard, sure. I don't know. I've never named it. I haven't gone as far as to name this tree. I mean, obvious names would be Wally, of course. I'm trying to think, looking at him, trying to think, what's it look like? I don't even know why I would say it's a he. It produces nuts. Gives birth to nuts. It could be a female. But then they're nuts. That makes you think male. I don't know. And at one point, could you climb it? Like now, it's impossible to climb. A kid couldn't do shit with that. Neither could, hell, an adult could, but he would need, like, you know, those climbing things you put on around your ankles or whatever. Some kind of climbing spur situation. Rope. And now it's to the point, if it ever needs to be removed, it might need Mother Nature to remove it. Because I don't see myself ever calling a tree company and ask to have this thing cut down. It don't seem right. It survived at least one tornado that I'm aware of. We did have a minor tornado here in Clayton the year when, in 2020, or was it 2019? Can't even remember. I think that was 2019, I think. I don't know. I don't remember actually what year it was. We had all those tornadoes. Maybe it was 2020. Nah, it doesn't feel like 2020. It was 2019, I guess. We had like 17 tornadoes in one night throughout Dayton. So I know it survived at least one. And then, you know, the rings, I suppose, if it ever were to be cut down, that's the only interesting thing. If it were ever to be cut down, I would know its story a little bit, you know, from the rings and whatnot. Depending on the size of the rings, it'd tell you a little bit about that year. Also, it'd tell you exactly how old it is, I suppose. You know, it's not that fat of a tree, you know. For me, my estimation of 80 years, I could be wrong about that, you know. I mean, basically, this thing's like 7 years old. I mean, it was just a little baby tree when I moved in here, so coming up on 6 years here. The willow tree over there, the weeping willow. I planted these little maples myself. What kind of stupid little tree is there? It's got some little baby apples on it. I haven't come up with a name yet. You know, if this channel is going to be about this tree going forward, it's much more impressive than that tree at Alpine anyhow. You know, as we pivot away from being a fish channel. I suspect more people will watch this. The House of the Dragon, look, I wasn't expecting a big audience. But 100 views, hell man, I was hoping for 100 views from strangers that were like non-subs. So much for that. And now the latest fishery, the fish recaps have been going downhill. I guess people just want, well, I don't know what the hell people want. Whiteboards, live shows. Appreciate everybody that does tune in daily, you know, from the Spuds of the world, the members. Bob Weaver's usually pretty as a regular watching. This one was for Phil D, so hopefully Phil D saw the video. Truncated Sleigh, count on him. Claire Dog Yo, the Ambassador guy, of course. So many others. Several others. Gabriel Berkey, he was into House of the Dragon. Joe LaRocca, of course. I think McCavity would. Well, if I stand here long enough, the sun will eventually quit hitting the top. That's another thing, you know. How many sunsets has this sucker seen? Sunrises. Well, you know, it happens every day. Boom. We'll leave you with that. We'll leave you with that deep knowledge that, you know, the sun does rise and set every day. It's not that cool. I know you guys all get all crazy and you like to take pictures, but it happens every day. Has there ever been anything more photographed that happens every day than the sun rising and setting? I mean, what is going on? What is wrong with people? I gotta be honest, I've never sat and watched the sunrise or set. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I have. I've done it a few times. But if you've done it a few times, you've done it. You know, normally when I'm away from home, it's something you do. All right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. If you made it all minutes in the tree video, you're the best. Boom.